Since we first showed the game, we've definitely done some, shuffling in the game system side. You know, it's sort of the main game flow of, kind of combat hasn't changed in a substantial way, but sort of the underlying RPG systems have grown, actually. You have the gear system, which was something new, and we decided that was, we wanted a bunch of systems that were all quite different from each other, and we ended up thinking the nostrums were too similar to some other systems. So the gear system is fun because it's sort of this mutually exclusive, choices that you have to make, these small choices that you have to make that are really interesting. What am I going to use for my head slot, but I can't have both of these. And the vigor system grew and got richer. And they're quite modifiable, and each of them have all fires, and the weapons got all these modifications. Some of them have up to like 4 or 5 modifications to them you can make each weapon, and it's a quite diverse character growth system for a shooter. Elizabeth hasn't really changed as a character. Her mission, her journey is still the same journey. But we really, when we saw the reaction to Elizabeth at E3 last year, 2011, it was so strong that we really wanted to give her even more of a role as your partner, not just tears and narrative, but really give her, to spin her into every aspect of that journey. And so, from the narrative stuff and from the sort of environmental stuff that she she's always aware in the world, always present, and always observing things and paying attention to things and commenting on things and looking at things, interacting with things. But in combat, well, we wanted to expand her role, and we thought that there's a bunch of things like people would say, oh, well, we give her a gun, and I never wanted to do that. We never want to do that because that's just what the player does, and we really wanted to make sure all her things she did for you were quite different from things you did. So, in combat, she's constantly scrounging for resources for you, like for money and ammo and health and salts for that power your vigors. And, and she's sort of scrounging, and oftentimes in clutch moments, she'll hook you up with just what you need. And I think that also makes a bond between the player and Elizabeth, that she feels that she's not just along for the ride. In terms of what stayed the same between the games, I mean, I think, the core loop of amazing environment, detailed environment, and improvisational combat with a ton of tools, with a large tool set, is very similar to the first game. I mean, we've changed all new tools and all new environments and all that stuff, but but those themes will remain very much the same. And then there were certain things that just worked, like for instance, the quest sound and when your health is low, there's a heartbeat sound, which is exactly the same sound from BioShock 1, just because those live in the meta space as well, and so players are already conditioned, BioShock players especially, to understand what those things mean, and we worked really hard to get those right in the first game. So we're like, why reinvent the wheel here? Very much love, that part of BioShock that with the little sisters, but we felt we had sort of, and the problem with it was sort of the same choice 22 times over. It was still, I thought, it was still a powerful component of the game. We didn't want a moral choice system in this game, but we wanted Booker to be in a morally gray space, and we wanted him to have some agency in very particular moments about the choices he makes. Those moments, more importantly than in the choice you make, what the results are, it really confronts you with that moment. And I think you'll find there are moments that aren't really quite like anything else you've seen in another video game. There is a particular story we're talking about. There is some divergent material depending on which you do, but I don't want to oversell it like as, oh, the game completely branches in one direction or the other. Like everything, you try certain things, and with multiplayer, we got to a point where we said, okay, this is sort of the what or get off the pot moment, and we decided to get off the pot because it wasn't there yet. I think they did some really extraordinary stuff, but we felt we didn't have the resources and time to finish the experiment to the level we wanted to, and we weren't going to ship something that was not consistent with the overall package. I started with an interest in the period and read about the period, and it was sort of more that I would see events that happen, and I'd say, I don't want to spoil anything, but could Booker have been there? What would have happened if he was there? BioShock 1 was delayed too. Most games, you don't know about them always, have some kind of, often are delayed. It's primarily polish and bug fixing, and let's make that narrative scene that much better. let's do another pass on the timing of that scene. Let's play this. Let's do another balance pass. Let's do, and because it's a game we could have shipped in February, it just wouldn't be the game that we think the fans deserve. One thing that Infinite is intended to demonstrate is that BioShock doesn't mean a place. It means a lot of other things. When we announced it to the press, the fans, I think they were at the beginning a little confused, because usually you think of a sequel as as a very sort of straightforward definition of these annualized sequels. We knew that wasn't going to be that. We knew we basically had to start from scratch in a lot of areas, but it still had to be a BioShock game, and that was a really interesting challenge.